It's been nearly 6 months since the highly unfortunate events on January 6th, when post-election frustrations felt by a large swath of the country culminated in a breach of the Capitol building. The violence that ensued has been condemned by all sides. So far, nearly 500 people have been arrested. FBI investigations continue, so more arrests are likely to come. Some of the accused have been in jail this entire time, waiting trial. And regardless of what you think of the day's events, the stories being told by lawyers and family members of what's happening inside prison should alarm any American. Today we're joined by 2 lawyers representing January 6 detainees and one father, whose son faces 11 charges, including civil disorder, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers using a dangerous weapon, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, and act of physical violence in the Capitol grounds or buildings. So we have with us 2 lawyers who have taken on January 6 cases. We have Stephen Metcalf and John Pierce, and we have Ned Lang, the father of someone who is currently in D.C. jail. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for having us on.
So, John, could you start by giving us just a big picture, an overview of how many people have been arrested, what their current situation is, just to get a sense of the lay of the land here?
Sure thing. So, in the wake of January 6th, obviously, the federal government decided to become very aggressive with respect to, arresting individuals who are on the Capitol grounds or inside the Capitol. That process has been occurring pretty much nonstop for the last, whatever it is, 5 months since January 6th. They have arrested and charged something in the neighborhood of 475 to 480 to 500 defendants at this point. Some of these charges are very tough charges that could carry with them decades in prison with respect to some of these individuals. There are, I believe, approximately 50 of those individuals who have been detained pre-trial and have been detained 4 months and could be detained for many months more before their trial. They're in conditions that are not pleasant, to say the least. There are certainly some of them that have serious medical conditions that simply have not been addressed the way they need to be to this point. So there is some real concern on that front. But the bottom line is that and this is apparent, I think, to many Americans. The federal government has decided to go very tough with respect to rounding up and charging these American citizens. And I think what a lot of Americans are seeing is what appears to be a dual system of justice, whereby the individuals, the rioters who are burning down, places like Kenosha and Minneapolis and Portland and Los Angeles, simply are not receiving the same treatment, not facing the same charges, and not facing pretrial detention to the extent there are charges. So, that's kind of the 10,000-foot view of what's going on right now, Cindy.
Okay, great. Let me just ask you one quick question. So to be clear, there's about 50 that are still in detention of all those that are arrested, and the rest are, on bail or bond or their own recognizance. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, my numbers certainly are not precise, and that probably changes by the day. And by the way, the federal government is continuing to round up American citizens, as we speak. And so, I believe the number is around 50. Obviously, these folks are under the law are presumed innocent. They are innocent until proven guilty. The federal judges do have the authority under the Bail Reform Act, under certain circumstances, essentially, if they believe that the individual is a threat to the community or a flight risk, to detain them, and that has been occurring. And there's about 50 plus or minus that are being detained, have been in prison for months, and will likely remain in prison for many more months until their day in court.
So that's all pre-trial. Stephen, do you have anything to add to that, and can you speak to what the normal process is for pre-trial detention? Is this normal, what we're seeing?
Yes, well, thank you for having me. First off, everyone has spoken a lot about these bond conditions in certain cases. Pre-trial, being released on pre-trial bond is the norm. It's the exceptions for people who are held in jail pending trial. Just as John said, there is the presumption of innocence. All of these individuals who are still being held for the pretrial matters or during the pretrial of their case are presumed to be innocent at this point. So it is unusual in the sense that new law has been crafted out of this whole situation, January 6th, that is, where the Bail Reform Act has been interpreted and expanded in various different ways to apply to a lot of these cases. And we're going to keep fighting for each one of those defendants who are in, who we believe should be out, especially during pretrial.
And so, Ned, your son is one of them who's in detention. Your son, Jacob. Jake, can you tell us what his situation is right now?
Jake right now is, they have an area in the prison that's called the Hole. And he is down in the Hole with another individual, Dominic. And what has happened is Jake spoke out not too long ago to a bunch of the other detainees or political prisoners at this point. And he spoke to them and said, you know, the government is offering these horrendous type of plea deals, and it's hurtful. The time they're offering you is such an abomination of your rights, compared to what other situations that have happened with other folks on the other side of the political spectrum. Dominic, another patriot, he's in the Hole now with Jake. Apparently his wife or a family member spoke out on Fox News or Newsmax about 3 weeks ago, and now he is in the Hole also with Jake. And the Hole's, when we spoke 2 weeks ago down in Washington, D.C., for no reason at all, the DOC put every one of the patriots in solitary confinement for 8 days straight, no human contact, no showers. These are Americans. We have individual rights. We have our Bill of Rights. This is inhumane treatment. I actually asked Steve if we could take this to the UN. These folks are locked in their cells 23 hours a day. They're allowed out 1 hour a day. That's if one of the guards don't find some sort of an issue with them, or for whatever reason they lock them back in their cells. Jake has not had a haircut in 6 months now. He has no access to when Steve goes down and talks to him, he has no access to a private interview with an attorney. He has no access to the law library. It's like we're in a third world country. It's unbelievable. From what he's telling me and what I'm hearing, it's solitary confinement, 23 hours in, 1 hour out a day is horrible. And these guys, remember, as you so well pointed out before, they are just, they're charged with crimes. They are not convicted of crimes. They could take anybody off the streets and put them in the same condition based upon whatever charges they drum up. So this is really a very, very sorry and sad state of affairs for America.
So, Stephen, have you seen this before?
Conditions such as what Ned is describing? No. What Jake is going through is ultimately denying his constitutional rights to be to assist in his own defense, to have effective representation by myself and my firm.
Be sure to watch the entire episode, now available exclusively at epochtv.com, a new completely censorship-free premium subscription platform brought to you by the Epoch Times. See you there.